Is there a lot of people waiting to get in? Yeah, I'm talking. Oh, can you tell how much people waiting to get in on the space? No. She must have parked in the garage down the street, eh?
We've got it going anyway.
Yep. Everybody's in? Okay, we will call our September 28th, 2020 Board of Trustees meeting to order. At this time, as we go into a moment of silence, I do ask that you humbly join me in prayer today to honor Rose Marie Myers, a retired member of the CCSD family who passed away recently. She was the founder of Charleston County School of the Arts and Ashley River Creative Arts Elementary School, two of the district's flagship schools. She passed away Friday morning, September 25th, 2020. She was 84 years old. I ask that you join in with me now in prayer. May we see God's light on the path ahead. When the road we walk is dark, may we always hear, even in our hour of sorrow, the gentle singing of the lark. When times are hard, may hardness never turn our hearts to stone. May we always remember when the shadows fall, we do not walk alone. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Amen.
At this time now, entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Agenda and consent agenda, adding item 7A to the consent agenda.
Second.
Properly moved in second.
What is 7-8? I'm sorry.
Capital project update.
Capital project update. Julie, are we ready? As Cindy log on to sign electronically? Okay. That motion was moved by Mr. Garrett, second by Mr. Frazier. We ask that you please cast your vote electronically. As Ms. Coates also is logging on, we will give her that time as well. Okay, Ms. Darby, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Hollenshed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we entertain a motion approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Reverend Collins. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Mr. Hollenshed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Darby? Oh, she voted. Okay, good. Okay, at this time, we entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Move to executive session to consider items covered by attorney-client privilege.
Thank you. Properly moving second. We'll now enter executive session. Those that are not a part of the executive session, we ask that you please excuse yourself at this time. Chris Frazier, did you start the timer? Start the timer? Did you start the timer? Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold you that.
Okay, we have what we need in executive session? Okay. I gotta get my eyes checked or something. This is not working for me.
Same here.
Gee
I've got
whiz.
an appointment in a month. I've got an appointment in a month.
Yeah, man.
So what are we
These eyes,
voting
are-
on?
I don't know. They're one day, you wake up the next morning. it's something different. Gee, man.
Erica, do I need to join breakout room number 3?
All right, thank you everyone for returning as we now entered back into open session. At this time now, we're going to item 4A, contractual matter.
I move to approve.
Motion. I'd like to make a motion if you would. To approve the motion, but instead of 30 days, we make it 90 days. It would accept the offer. If we don't get another offer in 90 days, it would accept the offer on the table. So in other words, instead of 1 month, we get 3 months. That gives us a little more due diligence if I can get a second.
Director Collins, are you asking that the previous 28 days count in that 90?
No,
You're asking that the clock starts tomorrow morning?
yes.
Okay.
Can I get a second? So you guys rather sell it in 30
I make
days
a motion.
without proper advertisement? It's only been on the market 28 days. I mean, isn't it reasonable to wait 90 days at least? We waited years on Charlestown Academy to sell.
I'd be willing to go another 30 days, but I'm not willing to have this out for 120. And if you're concerned about whether it's public knowledge, that's one of the reasons we use the expertise of our fellow board members. We have a couple of commercial realtors that can tell you if this thing's been put out properly.
Are you willing to do 60 days?
I'm willing to do 30 more days. I'm not willing to wipe the last 28
All right.
off.
We'll do additional,
I'm sorry, do you want to make that motion?
yes, that'll work.
So make that motion and I'll be glad to second
So we
it.
give additional, so the
So
motion on the table now is 30 days is what present on the paper. 30
I'll
days
make the
from today.
motion, and if it matches what you're thinking, you can second it. I would make a motion that we approve the sale pending 30 more days of listing on the MLS.
I think that's what they're asking for already.
No. it's
And I
not.
didn't hear that. Let me make sure I understand the motion then.
The
The
30's
motion
already
to
been out.
approve the offer, the purchase of TMS and so only, and if after 30 days of posting to multiple listings, it is the best offer and terms brought forward. So that's for 30 days, what it's asking for.
Okay, guys, can I get a motion?
I made a motion that we approve the sale pending 30 more days of listing on the MLS, but I don't have a second to that.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Coates and second by Mr. Frazier for an additional 30 days of posting for the listing.
So just to understand, what Ms. Coates asking. So the 30 days here on the motion already, you're adding 30 days to that?
Yep, that's what it says on the screen.
You're adding 30 days to that?
Motion to approve the offer to purchase only and if after 30 more days of posting on the multiple listing services.
So 60 days.
Which will be a total of 60 and not the 90, Reverend Collins, that you're
That's the
asking.
motion I want, I said.
Which is
Okay.
32 days from now.
Right, it's 32 days from now.
Yeah.
Mr. Baroi.
I just wanted to make a point that I'm very concerned that the potential buyer will not stick around.
Mm.
I'm,
Okay,
So can I ask a question, Mr. Burrow? The
We have-
buyer.
we just have to be very cautious, sir,
Right.
because it's executive
But we're not
session.
talking a lot of money to begin with, and $100,000 is nothing. So, but does the buyer have the money now?
They're ready to close.
I still think we need to wait. I don't think it's on the market long enough to close that fast for 80% loss.
All right,
Yeah, but-
Reverend Collins, there's a motion on the floor,
Not
and it's
Mr.
been seconded.
Now,
Any more questions on the motion? Please ask questions regarding the motion. If
Can
not, please go vote.
okay, we ask that you go ahead and please cast your vote. Let's see if this motion passes, please. Mr. Hollenshed, how do you vote?
Aye.
Did Ms. Darby vote electronic? Okay.
Wayne, I need a parliamentarian question.
Sure,
Do I have to vote yes because I brought the motion forward?
yes.
Gotten that one before. Mhm.
Or I heard what Jeff had
You
to
have a
say?
change button in the top right corner.
Oh, okay.
All right, who are we waiting on? Yes, Ms. Green is changing her. Okay. We're just waiting to see them. 4 yes and 4 no.
So it fails.
You know that?
Yeah.
The timing is the motion fails.
I move to approve the offer to purchase after the 30 days of posting on MLS.
Second.
Been properly moved and second by Mr. Garrett. Moved by Mr. Garrett, second by Ms. Darby. Are there any questions?
I don't understand this motion. Can you repeat the motion?
It's as written there, a motion to approve the offer to purchase only and if after 30 days of posted on MLS, it is the best offer and terms brought forward.
Beginning what date?
It began 28 days ago,
Yeah.
In other words, you want to give them 2 days
Right.
to close.
but
2
it's
days
been
from
on the
today.
market for 28 already.
He's saying 30 days because it's been posted for 28. He's
Has
not-
everyone
Yeah,
voted?
that's what I'm saying. So basically you're saying 2 more days and no one else comes up with an offer, they have the property.
Mr. Hollenshed, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Are we waiting on anyone? Okay, that motion passes 7-1. Item 4B,
Move to approve the district's request.
Second. Sorry.
okay, properly moving second, motion to approve the forwarding of a formal complaint to the South Carolina Department of Education related to a contract. Teacher, please cast your vote. Mr. Hollenshed, how do you vote?
Aye, sir.
Thank you. All right, that motion passes. Item 4C,
Move to approve.
I'd like to make a motion for, and I'll just do it in 2 separate motions, if that's okay. For the first,
Find these, I think.
The one
we
is good.
can, all right. So for the first student, I move that we send the transfer request back to the constituent board for reconsideration in light of new information presented by the parent and reserving the parent's right to an appeal to the Board of Trustees. And for the second student, I move that we overturn the constituent board's decision.
Second.
And place on the wait list.
Yeah, when we overturn it, they automatically get placed on the waiting list. Yes, that's automatically will happen.
okay, motion made by Ms. Darby, second by Reverend Collins. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Hollenshed. Okay, you have in your presence electronically the public comments that has been posted. Tonight, we will be viewed by a 2 minutes and 15-second video of our teachers that have worked tirelessly in preparing and opening schools and engaging in the learning experience. And we're going to have a 2 minute, 15 seconds video, just what's happening within our schools. So we're happy and excited to see that and to see the smiling faces. So when you get to see that, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Nobody has ever told my side of the story.
And how they get the power.
Everybody's doing a good job wearing their mask.
Okay, now let's see what else they want to tell us. Your face is
You don't mind if you were just joining with me and with a round of applause to our teachers and support staff. The hard work that they have done, and some may say, well, I could not see the smiling faces behind the mask, but the body languages definitely show that they were engaged and participating and was hard at work trying to make sure that learning continue during these unprecedented times. So we are happy and excited that our teachers are on board and fully engaged and ready to go. Thank you so much to our teachers. Now at this time, we'll have a superintendent report.
Thank you, Reverend Mack. I will be brief. I'm waiting for the first slide to get up there. I was supposed to just review metrics tonight, give you a status report on where we are. I'll talk to you a bit about our enrollment, and then I have one request regarding a calendar change. So just a reminder on the DHEC metrics. We adopted these the district's metrics from the DHEC metrics. We show them here again so that we see what the low, medium, and high ranges are on the 2-week incident report, whether we're improving, staying the same, or declining, increasing, staying the same, or declining, and then the 2-week positivity rate. So if we look at the next slide, we see the point values that we assigned. We said if we were in the low range, that would be 2 points. If we're in the medium range, that would be 1 point. If we're in the high range, we would give ourselves 0 points. On the next slide, we actually see then where we stand or where we stood as of last week with the DHEC metrics. We had reduced the in-person positivity rate per 100,000 to 111. I think that's down a little more this week, but we don't have the data from today yet. We are still decreasing, so we're in the low range, and we were at a 7.4% positivity rate last week. So that gives us 4 points total. And we know that the testing is a really critical part of the strategy to bring us back to school. So I wanted to turn the mic over to Mr. Baroe for just a moment to give an update on where we stand with respect to the ability to test.
So we're really excited that we're on the cusp of having the ability to do rapid testing within CCSD with the help of MUSC. Ellen Nitz, our Director of Nursing, has been working with them over the course of the last week. We hope to have a piece of equipment within a week, Abbott Labs ID Now test. It is a unit that has been in use for some number of years to detect other viruses. It's been adapted to detect COVID-19 through use of proprietary reagents and enzymes that the unit uses. So what we'll be able to do is we'll set that unit up with the Director of Nursing Services. If we have two types of situations right now within schools, if we have symptomatic children or faculty, we'll be able to take a sample, get a result back within 15 minutes of the test to know that that individual is positive or negative. For the students, we'll have the parents sign a consent form when they come in to pick up their child, and then we'll conduct that test. It's an anterior test. It's not the deep dive PCR test that some of you may have had. So it's much less intrusive than the normal test. We're working with MUSC for potential test kits free of charge using community at-risk funding that they have. We'll know more on that within the next week. If we have a change in cases in our schools, so if we have an increase in a particular school, that will also be an opportunity to do select testing to try to stop any potential outbreak that we have in a school. So those are the two potential uses, one for symptomatic staff or faculty or staff or students. And then if we have an increase in cases in a particular school, that's how we'll start rolling the testing out.
This was great news for us. We've talked before about the tremendous collaboration and support we've gotten from various groups, from faith-based groups, from civic organizations. And in this instance, the Tri-County CEO Council helped us make some connections that we had not been able to make ourselves to speed up the process of our being able to administer tests. So many thanks to all of the organizations who've been helping us out. The next slide really just is a review for us about how the metrics would guide our decisions. We said that if we were at 2 or fewer points, the board would have to vote to determine whether or not any students would be able to come back, and if so, what percentage and under what conditions. Phase 2 was 3 points, and at that point, we talked about 50% of the students coming back. We reached 3 points. We actually reached 4 points at our last check-in 2 weeks ago. We said we would hover in phase 2. We're clearly, again, after 2 weeks, still in the 4-point range, and if the data we looked at earlier today are in fact accurate, we will be realizing even further reductions in incident rate and positivity rate. So if we look at the next slide, it's sort of a recap of the decisions that the board has made as you've watched the metrics over the months. We didn't have metrics available until May. We reopened everything then, and July 13th saw a huge spike in cases, 959 per 100,000, and over 25% positivity rate in our community. And that gradually declined. The board took action as you watched the rates decline. And then we follow that slide to September 21. Again, the metrics are repeated there, and the fact that we're at 4 points. So the next slide shows the action the board took on September 4th. We think this covers our situation for today, the fact that you adopted the point system in August. And then in your September 4th board action, you said if there are remaining students on the wait list, they will be worked in as quickly as safe seating is available. And as parents who were on temporary remote are notifying their schools that they want to bring their children back, the schools are creating wait lists, and those students are being worked in as soon as safe seating is available, and they can rework the master schedule. It's difficult. You can't just move children here and there always without disrupting a lot of schedules. So, and the reverse holds true for parents who've had their children in school and are feeling as though they want to move them to temporary remote because more children are returning. The next slide shows the enrollment update that we promised for today. You have at your tables and loaded into board docs a very detailed listing of each of our schools and the number of safe seats they have, the projected enrollment, the number of students who are in person, the number of students who are learning online, and whether or not there are any students on the waiting list. This slide simply summarizes all of that. It looks as though, as of yesterday, our total school enrollment of our regular students, not those in charter schools or partnership schools or alternative schools, sits at about 42,426 students. Our total safe seating capacity is well above that at 47,400. Safe seats, not necessarily distributed where all the parents may want them, but the seats are there. The number attending in person is about 55% as of today, or it will be the case as of Wednesday when the remainder of the high school students who were on the wait list on August 28th are worked back in. The number attending online is about 45%. As of last evening, we had 1,537 students on the wait list. As they are worked back in, that will bring us to about 59% of our students who are attending in person. At the end of the year last year, we had about 44,835 students. Again, these are our regularly enrolled students. It doesn't include charter school students or students in some of our alternative programs or partnership schools. So we know the difference between this year and last year is something less than 2,000. We're not sure exactly where that sits. It looks as though most middle and high schools are holding steady. Elementaries have reduced some students, and I'm just speaking in generalized terms, but for the most part, the students who are not enrolling are in pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. That's for about 2/3 of the students who did not enroll, who were expected to enroll in elementary school sit. So as we move through the next month, we'll have more definitive information for you, but that's where we sit generally as of today. And then finally, as you might imagine, it's a tremendous amount of work for teachers and principals to redo master schedules when we bring more students back in. we almost inevitably end up with some teachers who have way more students than they should particularly in remote or virtual classroom, and some disequilibrium as well in the in-person teaching workloads. So on Friday, October 16th, students were to come to school for one half day of the day, and then teachers were to hold parent conferences the other half of the day. We're simply suggesting that we convert August 16th to a full e-learning day. It's almost toward the end of the first 9 weeks. It would give students who are behind on anything an opportunity to catch up. All of their lessons would be available virtually. And our teachers and principals then could take some time out of the parent conference time to really look at those master schedules to see if they could equalize the workloads a little better by refining the master schedules. If the board is inclined to do that, we either need action tonight or on October 12th, but obviously we need to let families know, and this is out of the ordinary. We didn't realize when we met 2 weeks ago that what disruption it was going to cause. Every time we reschedule, we have to close, to do the master schedule, we have to close Power School down. So people can't enter attendance or other information into Power School while we have it shut down for master scheduling to go on. And also when we close the Power School down, the online apps don't connect with each other quite so well. So it creates quite a bit of disruption. And that's the reason we're recommending that October 16th be a full e-learning day. And the fact that our teachers could really use an opportunity to plan a little more and get caught up on with the modifications we've made. So that concludes the superintendent's report with a request that you would give us some sort of indication about whether or not you would be in favor of allowing our teachers to have the full day on October 16th.
Okay, a couple of things. We'll go around asking for questions about the report. Just keep in mind that the superintendent has made a request to amend the calendar for October 16th for a full e-learning day instead of a half day that's already outlined. So we will take questions in reference to the report first, and then we will entertain a motion in reference to the October 16th e-learning day. So Ms. Green, you have a question?
Dr. Postlewaite, at what point do we stop allowing kids to come back to school this semester? I mean, at some point, do we say, you know, we aren't going to allow any more kids back in the classroom this semester and start again in January, or?
So I think what the level leaders have been doing is working with principals to find a convenient times to allow more students to come back in. We can't just keep changing the schedules every week. So it might be we make another adjustment and then phase in at the end of the first 9 weeks, and then make another adjustment halfway through the second 9 weeks. But to answer your question specifically, when we are right now, the way that the point system and the board action stands, it would be when we run out of safe seating capacity. But we can't just be bringing students in every day. There have to be logical places for schools to know that it makes sense for them to stop and admit more students.
Okay, Mr. Frazier.
Not in this report, but a question I've been asked several times is particularly around stadium capacities and extracurricular activities outdoors and the possibility of freeing up some space there. And I think it'd be important for people to hear what the rationale is and the calculus to get to where we are.
Right, Mr. Brewery?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So we're staying in alignment with the South Carolina High School League rules, which state that we need to maintain the social distancing of 6 foot. So, you know, that is a guideline provided by them. It's a guideline that we've enforced throughout the district. Obviously, we have other protocols in place like masks, but that is the goal, to maintain that wherever we possibly can. And so we've calculated the seating capacity in our stadiums using the same number we actually had for graduations for the diploma ceremonies. So that was before the high numbers in COVID, that number was generated. So we haven't changed anything since that time frame. We had one game in the District 2 stadium this past weekend. We had 3 games in the District 4 stadium this past weekend. And we seem to so far be able to accommodate the guests that wanted to be there without any problems. So I'd like to maintain the course with that at this point until we see some changes.
So we're relying on the high school league really primarily for guidance on that and DHEC guidelines.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further question, Reverend Collins?
Yes, Dr. Postlewaite, I don't have a problem with the approving the date. Your item in the action item in the superintendent report, I didn't see that. The last time I missed it too, that they had an action item in the superintendent report. So is there a way for next meeting, you can put the item somewhere else, maybe with the other items or something? Because I just don't really expect to find the action item in the report. I just expect to hear a report. So it's my fault I missed it, but I didn't expect to see it there.
Surely.
Thank you.
Ms. Coates?
Yes, and I do kind of agree with Reverend Collins in the sense that it's a motion we haven't published or a proposed action. I mean, I pulled this stuff up on Friday and it wasn't there. So, but that's just for clarity and transparency. Remind me, did we not say on September 4th, there was an exact X number of students who we could bring back or who wanted to come back and that we weren't going to make any more changes for the first 9 weeks? Am I wrong, or were those two things said on September 4th?
So I said that once the board passed the motion on September 4th, that we hoped that we would not need to make another modification the first 9 weeks. I said
that was
that.
because we wanted to make sure that the school, and I think the exact thing that was said was something like the schools cannot, they need to know what's going to happen for the next 9 weeks. How does telling us today there's 1,500 more kids and we're going up to 59%? Is that still within that number you told us on the 4th? Because I'm having a hard time keeping up with where the cap that Ms. Green referenced is. We keep getting told there's a cap, but we're never told what that is. It keeps kind of moving.
So the reason we put the September 4th board action up was to be able to refer to it. The cap sits in the metrics. So the metrics say that once you reach 4 points, all students on the waiting list can be worked back in as soon as it's safe to do so. And I would assume that that also means part of safety is not disrupting the whole operation of the school.
I just want to make sure that we're not contradicting ourselves, because we didn't say if the points improved by the 28th, we'll change the number of kids coming back. We were pretty certain that we were going to make a change because we got the emails from parents that said, wait a minute, you just said that everybody is in the same place for the next 9 weeks after September 4th. And that's not what I'm hearing today. What I'm hearing today is, well, if the COVID numbers changed, well, then that keeping everything the same for the first 9 weeks is no longer in place. And I'd like us to be able to say something and stick with it for more than 24, 25 days.
Right. Well, on the September 4th, you were not beyond 2 points.
Right.
It was the interaction of the two things. We had to have board action because you had only 1 or 2 points. So you were in phase 1 and that required a specific board action. But when we when the community lowered the numbers and we moved into phase 2 and then to phase 3, the metrics that you voted on in August, in our mind, came into play.
And they overrode the statement that we made at the last meeting that we wouldn't change the number of students coming in.
So I think what I intended by that statement was to indicate we wouldn't ask the board to make another vote on this. And so the metrics came into play when the incident rate came down.
Okay, Mr. Garrett?
Just one thing regarding the day for October 16th. That's only 18 days away now. I feel like you could, if y'all would be willing to, that it at least gives superintendent time to tell teachers to be able to.
Yes.
Reverend Matt, can I ask a question about the 16th?
Yes.
So does that mean that it's a e-learning day, so all kids are all online that day, or are the teachers assigning work ahead of time? How does that work?
So because we're an e-learning district this year, we can make up days. That's what it was actually intended for, is to make up days, like hurricane days, with children being able to complete work without being in school. So honestly, to answer that question, I think people are going to have to look at this school by school. Most of the parents I've talked to would really appreciate having a day for their children to be able to get caught up on some of the homework that they've had as the end of the first 9 weeks nears. There may be some teachers who teach AP courses or whatever who want to assign something for students to read and complete that day, or a particular assignment in another subject. But I think that is almost going to have to be determined school by school. To be frank, I think that most families would probably like an opportunity to just get their breath on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because it has been really stressful for everyone.
Okay.
Agreed.
So on the other side of that, though, I think what Kate and I want to, or I certainly want to be assured of, is that if you're saying this is no longer a half day, and it is so that teachers in schools can calibrate as well, there's no teacher that will be assigned teaching that day.
There would not be any expectation that teachers are online teaching that day.
Perfect.
Okay, any further questions for the superintendent? Is there a motion for,
I move that we update or we approve the revised calendar with October 16th as an e-learning day.
Ms. Darby,
Yes?
Reverend Mack,
yes,
this is not on an action item. So if you want to do it this way, 2/3 emergency vote can then put it on an action item. So I would make a motion that y'all put it as an emergent action because of the time frame. Vote on that, and if that passes, then you can vote on whether y'all agree on that or not.
Mr. Mercy, it's on the
even if it's already listed as an action item,
agenda, it's listed as an action item.
it's listed on the agenda as an action item already.
Oh, it
6A, 6A,
Superintendent's
I
report.
just say superintendent report, doesn't say action item.
it
Yeah.
says type meeting.
It says action/information.
I think, but
That's
to be fair,
7.
did it say that on Friday when I printed it, or did it say it today when you uploaded the newest information?
Yeah, I must have it wrong. I have an old
It
agenda.
said it
Okay,
yesterday.
Just 1 second, guys.
Okay.
Just 1
Okay.
second. Just 1 second. Dr. Postway.
The agenda was updated Friday afternoon.
It was
Okay,
updated Friday afternoon.
Yes.
I'm
sir.
sorry, I have an old agenda.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Mr. Frazier?
Well, I think we've got a parliamentarian, and despite all of that, it hurts nothing to go ahead and do that action to ensure that we have a proper action. So I would move that we action this as an emergency action item for the purpose of voting on it today.
And I would second that motion if Todd's willing to withdraw his, because that can be the motion on the table.
Oh, yeah, that,
Yes. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Frazier, you want to,
I did. So I-
Well,
my
you-
motion is to make this an emergency action item requiring a 2/3 vote to approve the calendar change.
Requiring it to put it on the agenda, so then you can vote on the calendar change.
Right.
Emergency action item to place it on the agenda so we can vote on the calendar change.
there you go. That's what I was looking for.
All right, got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Moved by Mr. Frazier, second by Ms. Coates. All in favor, just signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms.
Aye.
Darby?
Aye.
Mr. Hollenshed?
She's got it. We can vote online as well, so we can have a person.
Mr. Hollenshed? Okay. I think you-
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous on that.
move to approve the 16th as the e-learning day.
Second,
Properly moved by Mr. Garrett, second by Ms. Darby. For October
Aye.
16th being full e-learning day. Mr. Hollenshed voted aye. We ask everyone else to please cast your vote electronically.
Is it coming up, Julie?
Just 1 second. Moved by Mr. Garrett, second by Ms. Darby. Mr. Hollenshed voted yes. Mr. Frazier?
We already voted to put it on the agenda, so it wouldn't be if the board wishes to do so. It's making the vote. And we already did it.
No, we will need an emergency first.
We put it on the agenda,
Yeah, now you're voting on the item itself.
but it
But
doesn't.
now you gotta vote for it to, well, now you gotta vote whether y'all want to do it or not. You just put it on the agenda. That's all you did is move it to action item. Now you gotta vote on the action item.
Understood, but the way it's worded isn't that way. You got it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Are we waiting on anyone, Julie? No, just want to make sure we're not waiting on anyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, board members. At this time now, item 8A, which is the bonus for personnel.
I move to approve the bonus as written, the recommended action as written.
Moved by Mr. Garrett, second by Reverend Collins.
Yes, but I want to clarify.
Hang on 1 second.
You might want to, there you go.
Okay, got it. Okay, Reverend Collins, you had a question?
Yes, Dr. Postlewaite,
Yes, sir.
just for clarity and make sure I understand. So this motion to give the bonus to our teachers and support staff, how many teachers does this include that work full-time? That we recognize out of the numbers, how many teachers, or even approximately?
Well, it includes all of them who work full-time. Mr. Brigman?
You get an idea of the number of full-time you're thinking about?
Yes, there's about 3,500 teachers are permanent teachers in our system.
We have 3,500.
What was that, sir?
We have 3,500 full-time teachers?
Yes, sir.
That's the-
Let me be clear, permanent
Permanent
teachers.
employees.
Okay, so that's 3,500. So each one of them will get the $500.
Correct.
If they
Well,
work,
full-
if they work a full day, yes. If they're half-day employees, they would
That's
get.
what I'm trying to figure out. How many teachers do we have that work full-time that are hours? That's what I'm asking. How many work full-time that are hours approximately?
I don't have the data broken down by full-time and then partial FTEs
Did we say at least 3,000, would you say?
that are full-time.
Yes.
It's probably more than that.
All right. I'm just trying to do the math, okay, because I don't have any other business. How many, all right, now roughly how many support personnel, not as a teacher, but assistant teachers, data clerks, whatever you're using. It doesn't give a full breakdown of who all's included.
All permanent employees,
All permanent employees, Reverend Collins.
They're in the motion that everybody.
everybody.
Well,
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to make sure that we're talking about everybody.
Yeah, the
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the
Read the very first sentence. Grant immediately a $500 salary bonus to all permanent employees.
So that includes data clerks,
Yes.
It
Yes, sir.
does.
custodians.
All permanent.
No, sir,
employees.
not,
But
not
we're
if,
saying different now.
not if-
Custodians.
not if they're not our employees. So you have to be careful because we
Our-
contract out.
Our custodians.
If an individual is employed by Charleston County Schools, the answer is yes.
And cafeteria workers too.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure they were included. If I couldn't tell from true by the motion. All right, so thank you.
Any further question? Ms. Green?
Bill, is there any reason we can't process it before the 30th? I'm sure it takes time, but is there
Yes,
a
ma'am.
reason why?
That's really a Don Kennedy question. So I'll look to my good friend here.
Well, Don, I'm asking you that question. I'm sure you have a right?
I got a question, Reverend Mack, when you get a chance.
Process payroll in advance, obviously, of the payroll date. I selected October 30, not knowing the deliberations and when this would be approved. So October 30 is the date that I recommended. If the board approves this evening, I can certainly check and see how we get it.
Well, that's okay. I just wondered if we, that's fine.
So I kind of like not to put any spokes in the wheels, but I kind of like Ms. Green's question as to if this is something that be done sooner than the 30th, within a 2 weeks time frame.
Reverend Mack.
Hang on one second. I just asked something, Mr. Kennedy.
So certainly we can look into it. So, we have, I don't have tonight the breakdown of the partial permanent FTE. So we have some work to do to be able to calculate this special payroll.
Got it.
And
Okay.
so I'm just looking at make sure that staff has enough time to be able to calculate correctly.
Okay, we'll stick with the 30th then. Ms. Coates?
So am I correct that in this motion, we are going to go ahead and retroactively provide the steps? It says, update the 21 teacher salary schedule to incorporate blah, 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 that retroactive to July 1st, 2020. That sounds to me like we're going to disperse those steps.
This is immediately following the adoption of the budget by the state.
Okay, and so let me ask you this, why can we not do that if we have it in our budget?
It's our understanding that we should not do that until the state approves the budget. We are checking on that, Mrs. Coates, but as of today, we didn't have clearance to do that.
And who is saying we should not do that? Is that something coming from the state or our CFO? How is that? Who's the, we should not do that?
I have contacted the governor's office and the State Department of Education.
Can you follow up with us at the next meeting? Just
I absolutely.
Because I agree, it's a question I think should be asked and answered at the state level.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if we can, go ahead and cast your vote.
Mr. Hollenshed had a question.
I'm sorry.
Hollenshed, wait.
Oh, Mr. Hollenshed. Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Hollenshed?
Yes, thank you. My question is, when the PPE money came in from the federal government, were there any funds that we could divert toward the teacher's salary or compensation pay because of the COVID situation? And I wholeheartedly agree with the incentive that Reverend Mack is suggesting, but I would love to try to see a permanent solution and trying to help the teachers that are in the line of helping, dealing with our children in the front line.
Mr. Kennedy, do you want to address?
I didn't quite catch the full question.
I was asking, did we receive any PPE money that came in from the federal or state government?
Oh.
And was there any leftover that we could divert toward teachers' salary and incentive?
I'm sorry. So the PPP money, was your
PPE.
He's talking about personal protective equipment money.
It's PPP, not PPE.
Oh,
No, I know PPP, PPE.
Hold on one second. Let Mr. Hollenshed direct his question, please. So, Mr. Hollenshed, can you please repeat your question? Everyone else, can you please just allow Mr. Hollenshed to complete his question?
I'll put it simple, Reverend Mack. Were there any federal funds that came in that we could divert toward the teacher's salary?
No, sir. So the funds that come in are categorical type funds. So the PPE is for PPE. We did not receive any PPP funds. And then the federal CARES dollars that we received from the state, we've already submitted the grant application. It's been approved by the state, and it does not include additional salary amounts.
Okay, Reverend Collins has one final question.
Yes, Mr. Kennedy, roughly, so what does this financial package, what does this financial package cost us roughly? What's the approximate cost of the financial package of the bonus?
It's $5.2 million approximately.
And that's about 5,000 employees?
That is more like over 6,000 employees.
6,000 employees. Like I calculated less than 2 million for the teachers when I did the math. So the other 4 million and so classified and so forth.
So how the calculation is done, there's payroll taxes that needs to be paid on the bonus, and so we have to take that calculation to.
So we're going to absorb the taxes ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that's good. I think that's wonderful.
Okay, Mr. Hollenshed, how do you vote?
Aye, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Darby already voted electronically. Has everyone else cast their votes? Julie, are we waiting on anyone? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, board members. Consent items have already been approved. Upcoming next meeting will be our committee of the whole meeting on October the 12th, followed by a special board meeting on October 12th as well. And then, of course, our October the 26th board meeting. I entertain a motion at this moment for an adjournment.
So moved.
This meeting is now adjourned.
Wait.